What kind of horses are them?
They're Shire Draughts.
Shire Draughts.
Bred in the south of England.
Yeah.
That's where they're bred.
They're not the one that's in the Coca-Cola ad. What do they call the Coca-Cola?
Budweiser. The
Budweiser.
They're actually the horses that's on the Budweiser ad. But the Budweiser ad was started off by a man in County Down by the name of Bertie Hannon. And he done it for Budweiser back in the 80s. Maybe the late 70s or the 80s. He done it with 8 Clydesdales. So it was called the Clydesdales. And when they brought it to America themselves and set up their own team of horses, they called them Clydesdales. But they're really Shire Draughts. Because a Clydesdale was bred in Scotland. They probably are all the one breed going back whenever the docks were built in Dover and Hull, and they came in from Germany. And it's the same as the Irish Draught here in this country. They bred them through the mayors they had in their own area. So the horses that went up to Scotland, they called that the Clydesdale counties. So they were called Clydesdale. And the counties that held them in the southern part, they called them the Shire counties in England. And they were called the Shires. Now your Irish Draught, it was the very same. He was only a small horse, 15, 16 hands. But the gentry here that owned the big estates, they had the driving horses. So the farmer wanted a horse that would be able to do his ploughing. He'd be only ploughing an acre or two, and to be able to bring him to mass in a trap. So he went for what they call the breed between the working horse and the thoroughbred horse, and that was to come up with an Irish Draught. So and the draft means a horse to work between the chains. A chain that you have on a horse, that's called a draft, and that's the meaning of a draft. It's the horse to work between the chains. So that they're nearly all the people bred them themselves between. It was in from Germany. These horses came. Going back whenever.
How much is one of them worth now?
Well,
in the market.
This chap here now, he'd be worth something between 12 and 15,000. But if you were to go out to replace him at any of the sales in England from this week on, you'd be paying between 7 and 8,000 for a foal.
For a foal?
You want to train a horse to do what I have done here today, 3 years.
3 years.
And if anyone tells you to train him in 3 months, he's telling you lies. You have to bring him out. It's the same as the mounted police training the horses, like they train them stage by stage. And if you have them well enough trained, when I shout at them, stand there now, they'll know what I'm saying. So they'll respond to whatever you say to them.
And are there many of them in the country?
Not a lot of shires. There is 2 or 3 breeders only that I know, be odd ones.
Would there be 100?
No, no.
50?
Even in England, I think last year there was only 62 registered foals in England last year of Shire.
And you actually, you use them, you do? You work them?
Oh, I do. I work them, yeah. I work them.
And you're the only man in the country working them, did you?
Well, I'm the only man in the country able to plough with 2 horses with no leader or anything. They'll walk to my command. And if you want to see that, if you go on YouTube, it's shown on the ploughing match last week, or this week it's shown where I ploughed on my own with no one leading me, just talking to the horses, and they will respond to you if you talk to them.
And do you breed them?
No, I don't breed them, but I am going to breed. I have a mare bought, a 3-year-old filly, to cover next year, because they are a bit expensive to replace them.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yes, very well.
What's the life expectancy of them horse?
Well, the life expectancy of a horse is how he's kept. It's like a man getting a good woman. If she fed him well and looked after him, he could last a long time out. The most important thing with horses to keep them right is to dose them twice a year for worms. Keep their feet in good shape and their teeth. And there should be give no much problems. A small bit of problems with mites. We call it mites. It's an itch, and it comes up through the skin. But you'd have to treat that. But if you have the right treatment twice a year, is enough to do that. Feed them well twice to have what they call the quack. And he came round, say, once a year to the local farmers that had horses, and he looked after their teeth. he was able to put in a bit and then to open their mouth, and he'd have a file, and he'd file their teeth and make sure their teeth were dead flat. The horse actually don't chew. They're like the grind. Their teeth runs up and down like that, on top of that. And they grind everything to get into dust. And if their teeth is not level, if they're sharp down the side, it'll hurt their gums. So you have to make sure that their teeth is looked after. So nearly once a year you need to take a dentist to look after them.
What about the diet?
Well, I feed them horses now. Look, different people has different ideas about feeding them. That was my business. I was in the animal feed business, making feed. And I always copied what I seen when I was a child at home. And I would use all good stuff, the likes of a small bit of barley, but I'd use flake maize, and I'd use beet pulp, and say beans, small amount of beans, and small amount of peas. But I feed a horse twice a day, but I'd feed him, I wouldn't feed him what I'd buy in made up of, say, what came from North America, the likes of soya oils or maize gluten. They're all byproducts of something. I wouldn't feed them anything like that. I would only feed them a real solid feed. But a horse needs something strong and not much. The horse has only one stomach, like ourselves, and it's a small one. So what I fed him there, if you fed him that 3 times a day, was plenty.
How long can a horse work for?
27, 28 years.
No, but in a day.
On a day?
Yeah.
Well, my father used to tell, they used to go ploughing for a 12-hour day, but they'd actually only work 8 hours, because the horse would rest. Like say, if they were ploughing in a field that was say 200 yards long, they might give them 4 runs of that, and they'd stall them.
For long?
For 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And they'd rest them and walk them on again. They never worked in, say, the 12 hours constant. But even when you're mowing with horses and that, you'll only do, say, half an hour, and you'll pull up the oil machine, and then you'll drive on again. He's like yourself, he has to get time to take
Get a rest, yeah. Them are the old coach horses. How far used they travel? Do you know? No?
30 miles a day.
30 miles.
Is for a horse to travel.
Yeah.
I travel with them horses here from Mayo down to Clonakilty and Cork. Well, it took me 12 days to go down. And I lived in a wagon. I done it for a fundraiser for Ronnie McDonald's house. And I had it planned out 25 miles a day.
And are there any particular diseases they get? What's the commonest thing they get?
Years gone by, they used to say they've got staggers.
No, that's right, I heard that. Yeah.
The best knowledge I have of staggers would be a horse that would have got hunger, or maybe worms, and then inches of the stomach. And the same as yourself, like if you get starvation, your eyesight will be affected. And I'd say a lot of it was not treatment.
So you used to come to Westport?
The first time I came to Westport, it was in 1978.
Yeah.
I was hauling coal for Hunters in Sligo, to go past the co-op.
Yeah.
And there was an archway where you went into the yard. And we used to pull on the footpath and drop off 10 ton of coal off the side of the lorry by hand. And we'd load it, and we'd come twice a day. And when I'd be coming in here to Westport, say in the month of January, February, March, and it could be a bit of a calm weather, and there'd be a fog over Westport, just over the roof of the houses, just a pure fog, the smoke. So Westport imported 20 ton of coal a day, because that's what they were selling, and then they delivered it around the town here with 2 tractors. And I knew the fellas that was working on now, Joe, Big Joe we used to call him, and I knew the girls too now. There was one of them, she was Joyce, and Mulderrick was the other girl's name. Were fierce nights. We'd come here in the morning and we'd go back to Sligo and load and come, and we'd go back to Sligo and load for the following morning. I done that for maybe 2 to 3 years, and then I went on to working for the co-op. That time came in 1981. They built the mill in Balhaldrine. I got in there on a lorry, and I left that then and I went to doing the continent. Now I done the mill as well, so I ended up with 12 lorries in haulage. And then I came on into the 90s, I was making no money, and I stopped and I went in opposition to the co-op. So I built my own mill. So I sold stuff in every farm yard in Carraholly, Kilmina, Mahagawa, every house, I'd say near enough in Westport bought feed up there.
And you were going to say something about the horses. Would you prefer the horses to?
Oh, if I was to live my life over again, I'd definitely stay with horses. And
Why would you do that?
I'd have no stress. I worked tractors for farmers, contracting, and lorries out on the country, drivers on them. It was an awful lot. You'd live a better life with the horse and work a small bit of land and eat 3 times a day too.
But would you do a different type of work then? You would?
No, I tell you, I was reared on a farm about 70 acres of land, maybe 25 acres of arable land, and the rest of it was only grazing land. And my father reared pinnacles. Now he did do a small bit of work with horses. There was a place, I came from County Sligo, a place called Ballindoon, and there was up at the railway station in Boyle there were Candons, and they were wholesalers. So back when the war was on, the Second World War was on, all the people was able to sell their eggs. Candon would buy their eggs, so they got boxes, and they put eggs into, and put layers of hay, and they put eggs, and the butter, the women even supplied the wrappers for the butter, and all the farmhouses that had churns, they made the butter, and they cut them into squares. They had them to a certain square, and they wrapped them, and they brought that up to the railway station. He went up to Dublin to sell it in Dublin, and he brought down the tea, sugar and flour, and he went twice a week. But he farmed and working for his neighbours, and he could have gone to County Meath, say in the late 50s or the middle 50s, but he wouldn't go. He was making a better living than they were making in County Meath by dealing with the people around him. And there was no money. He worked for the council, and the council would set you, say, 10 or 12 mile a road, and you had to look after that 3 times a year. So if he made 5 or 6 ridges for you, that would you give him 5 or 6 days work for doing. There was no money, so the council paid him for making the roads. But that's how the swaps, what they call swap work, like, you know. And my mother used to tell a story about feeding the mahal. There might be 14 or 15 people, and they would kill. He was handy. He could kill a pig or kill a lamb, and then kill a pig. And she said the only way you'd feed people, a big group of people, was a stew. Make a stew. She used to make the stew. Make the stew and put it into in a pot. And she'd put the stew into what they call a butter box. That was 18 inches by 18 inches. And she'd pack hay oil in around it. And she'd put the plates in on top of it, or the bowls. And she'd cycle maybe 5 or 6 miles to where they were working. And they'd all sit down along the ditch and just eat, and she'd have milk as well with her. And my father used to give out if she wasn't there at 12 o'clock in the day, because he said there was no good feeding them because they weren't home. So that was big.
But you couldn't have a horse going from Sligo to Westport, did they?
No.
Did they ever coal?
No.
That's what I'm just wondering about.
No. You wouldn't be doing any higher.
So what was the alternative?
Well, the alternative was the train, you see, back at that time, trains went from every town. The goods were easier moved. Now, I'd say here in Westport, there would have been someone allocated to supply the town with goods, like, you know, that would come on the train, like sort of like the courier to the area. Every man had and there might have been a few horses in it, and like everything was delivered with the horse at one time.
True, yeah.
I do love looking back at what in London, like, and it shows it on YouTube there, what they've done in London, and all the horses. The horses lived up in flats. They had buildings, and the horses went up ramps, and the horses lived upstairs.